Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. Welcome to It's Time for More Injury Funding, the podcast for all who want to learn about legal funding and its significance in the personal injury, workers' compensation, immigration, defective products injury, and many other types of law practice domains. I'm your host, Laura, founder and CEO of More Injury Funding, the legal funding counselors with passion for law, medicine, legal funding, and heart for all suffering individuals. In today's episode, I'm honored to introduce Natalie Gladden, Director of Environmental and Regulatory Energy Staffing and Services. She's a CEO of those two and Card Hill Energy owner and Coalbrew Coffee Company. Did I say that right, Natalie?
Yes, yes.
So let me tell you a little bit about Natalie first before we move on to our questions. Natalie Golden is a 30 plus year veteran in oil and gas, leading in regulatory compliance, environmental management, and strategic growth. As Director of Environmental and Regulatory at ESS, and then we'll tell you in a second what ESS stands for, and CEO of Card Hill Energy. She champions sustainability, efficiency, and barrier breaking leadership. A mentor and entrepreneur at Coalbrew Coffee, Natalie inspires the next generation of women in business while balancing family life with her two daughters, grandson, and newborn granddaughter. So stay tuned till the very end for our fun pop-up question, as we always do. So welcome to It's Time for More Injury Funding podcast, Natalie.
Hi, thank you. Welcome me. Really want to thank you for doing this for me. This is an opportunity that is definitely going to change the way things go forward for me.
Fantastic. I'm so looking forward to that. So that's so impressive. Your biography, it's extraordinary. You're an extraordinary woman as a you are special. You've spent over 30 years in oil and gas, a traditionally male-dominated field. What does being a woman and business owner mean to you today?
Well, back in the day, um, it wasn't normal to see a woman in the field or in a high level position. It was always secretaries, office managers, things like that, accounting. When I was given the opportunity from a company, oil and gas company called Apache Corporation, I had a leader by the name of David Wolf that said, "Hey, I see this in you. You've been doing regulatory. I want to move you into environmental." And there I was, being in the field up against some of what I call the old codgers. You know, they've been doing this for years and years, and they had their ways of doing things and didn't really care for a woman to come in and say, "Hey, you need to change this. We've got to do it this way. We've got to clean this up," whatever the case may be. There was some tough times, but once I earned their respect and their trust, then it was easy for me. Um, Now there is a lot of women in this industry that are doing the same thing I've done and what I'm doing now. So it's really neat to see those ladies come up. And I will say that I did not go to college. Okay, I started working at the age of 18 in the oil and gas industry, and just kept putting my feet on the ground and grinding until I moved up the ladder. And it
Mm.
took a long time, but I finally got there. But with the leadership that I had, that were men, gave me the courage to step out there and do that. So, to answer your question, the mindset of being where I'm at right now is still like I have to pinch myself. Did I really do this? Did I really make it? But it was the people that I had with me that helped me do that. And I've had great employees, great staff, friends, family that have all stood beside me through all this. And I think that's the key factor, um, to have a team behind you, because it takes an army to do it.
Absolutely. What a beautiful story, Natalie. Thank you so much for inspiring us all. It's admirable of what you've done and what you're still doing every day. Um, how has your role as a mother and grandmother shaped your leadership style and decision making in high stakes regulatory environments?
Well, as most leaders know, that sometimes you have to handle your employees with kid gloves. And having two daughters that are totally different and spunky, and um, they kind of laid the foundation of how I should handle situations. Um, I want to lead my children, my coworkers, my employees, whether it's the coffee shop or it's the oil and gas well company or it's the environmental regulatory company. I want them to succeed. And my main goal is that they make money, they take care of their family, they make a name for themselves, and that they're secure in what they do. And loyalty is a big thing. The employees that I have, they're loyal to the core. And I think if they know that you're loyal to them, they're going to be loyal to you. I treat them as family because let's face it, we spend more time with our work staff than we do with our family. But my children always had the respect of mom's doing this for us. So as much as I worked and the hours that I worked, I mean, my kids were used to waking up at 4 a.m., getting in the car and drug somewhere until mom got home at 7, 8 o'clock at night. So it wasn't always easy, but they know what the work ethic is that's needed out here, no matter what your industry is.
And we as moms, we lead by example, by doing it, not just saying that. So,
Yes.
sometimes when the kids are little, we don't understand if they will get it one day, but actually they do as they grow up and as they get older. Coalbrew Coffee Company, and Coalbrew is spelled as cold, Coal, brew coffee
Mhm.
company, blends community connection and entrepreneurship. How did that venture start, Natalie? And what's the core mindset you bring from energy to a small batch brand?
So this started, I've always been a coffee person. I was never a cold brew person. Okay. There's a little trailer on the side of the highway one day and I said, hey, I'm going to stop in there. Fell in love with the lady and her product and her workers. And I was like addicted, completely addicted. So, she had decided to move in a different career than what she was doing, and it was a great opportunity for her. And she said, "I'm selling the trailer," and I was like, "No, you're not." So I went home to my girls who had previously worked for my brother, who had a coffee shop here when they were in high school. So they already knew how to do all that. I said, "Hey, you want something to do?" They said, sure. So we bought the trailer. In 4 months. We ended up putting it in a brick and mortar. And my girls' themes was colorful. And if you've looked at our website, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, it's every color under the moon. And it's a very relaxing place for people to go. I think the change in being more of a customer service type business from a more powerful consulting type business was definitely different. But the thing that I will say that made our small batch brand a winner is that we're the only true cold brew company anywhere near here. So when you go to Starbucks, you go to Seven Brew, you're going to get espresso, or I say, sorry, espresso, um, mixed with milk and flavors and all that. So our coffee is cold brewed for 36 hours before it ever hits the store. It doesn't go through a hot pot. It doesn't go through a machine of any kind. It's a chicory blend that I get from New Orleans. Actually visited the company that I bought it from last
Mhm,
week while we were there.
mhm.
But it's very unique, and it's very addicting. I have a 32-ounce cold brew coffee every morning. If I don't have it, I'm grumpy. Um, but the biggest thing about cold brew is we wanted to make it a shop to where no matter if you were high school, college, business, or just a family, you can come in and enjoy breakfast, lunch, pastries, whatever kind of drink you want, because we don't just offer coffee. But I've seen so many college students come in and study for 8 or 9 hours sitting there in our shop, and then all of a sudden they're graduating and they're nurses. You
Mm,
know, we've seen church groups come in, which is awesome to witness the spirit of that. But the biggest thing is I have met people. I've lived here my whole life, and I've met people that I didn't know existed, that I now call a very true friend. It's built
mm,
relationships for all of us. My girls are like my own kids. They tell me I love you when I leave. They give me
aw,
hugs every day. So it gives me a different light on life, because it's more of a personal type situation where in the oil and gas industry, you have a task to do, you do it safely, and you get home safely.
mm,
We don't have a lot of time for the personal side of things.
mhm. Wow, that's beautiful. And I did check you out yesterday on Instagram. It is colorful. I
Mhm.
love your ads. It's very unique. It definitely stands out. And Remind us, what state are you located? Where do you live?
New Mexico.
New Mexico, beautiful. I've only been to New Mexico twice in my life. So next time I'm in New Mexico, I'm definitely gonna visit you and get some coffee with you, okay?
Awesome. We'd love to have you.
So Natalie, you are described as a mentor who creates space for others to lead. And I've noticed and I witnessed that at the Will by Betty, which stands for Leadership by Women, or Women in Leadership by Betty Aquino in New Orleans at the beautiful Roosevelt Hotel last week, that you are just natural leader. You know, you hosted several panel groups. You spoke on the stage on several days. It was impressive, very memorable, and thank you for that. Can you share a moment when given someone freedom to explore a bold idea paid off for your team or for your company?
I think one of the most important things that I would like to say on this topic is that throughout my career, I've had a lot of people that have worked under me that have ventured off and started their own consulting business, their own dirt work construction company, an oil field service company, whatever it may be. Female or male, I've seen them do it. I've trained them, and then they get a better opportunity. They go out on their own, and they're still doing it today. So that to me is an awesome thing to see, and they've all succeeded. And they can still come to me if there's a situation that they need help with. I try my best to keep those relationships. They don't always work that way. But to give you an example of a few people that I want to mention that work for me now and have for a while. Mark Rivera is a retired veteran. He could retire right now. He does not need to work. He's of age to retire. He's worked for me for the past 6 years. He had married a late friend of mine, and absolutely fell in love with the guy. So Marines, he was a cop, and then he turned into working at a meat market in Albuquerque, New Mexico and retired there. So he come down here and he worked for me, and he is an environmental supervisor. He's a project manager. He's the guy I call and say, hey, get out to this location. They had a spill. I need you to map it. I need a site assessment, whatever. He takes care of that. But the thing about him is he's one of those loyal to the core. He's going to do everything possible to make sure that ESS or Carthill, whichever one it is, succeeds, because he takes care of things for me on the oil and gas side too with our oil wells. Whenever we have a compliance issue, he leads with a strong background, and he's intimidated to some of the younger folks, but he is also teaching them, hey, this is how you're going to do it because this is what Natalie expects. Mm-hmm. And I love that in him. And he's soon to retire, and I don't know if I can find one to replace him, but I'm on the look. And then the second one that comes to me is my shop manager, Victor Martinez. He not only runs the shop, takes care of the guys, the fleet, the equipment, everything. He takes care of me. He makes sure that I eat every day. He makes sure that I've got what I need. He can see when I'm stressed. He can see when I need to talk. The friendship and the relationship that we have, and the way he leads the other staff when they need something, because their best interest is my best interest. And so that's where I feel like I've led them in the right way. But if I'm wrong in something, or they have a better idea, they can bring it to me. And if it works, great. And we're going to stick with it, and we're going to continue to do it that way. Being in the environmental regulatory spectrum of the world, it's our responsibility to protect the oil and gas companies. So when they have any type of release, we're there to get it cleaned up and get them into compliance. And my guys, the excitement, I know this is crazy to say, but when we get that call, hey, we've had a 50-barrel release on such and such, I mean, they're on it. They're out there getting it taken care of, getting it up off the ground as quickly as possible to minimize the impact for not only the earth and the environment, but also to our clients as well. So the better I can lead them to be those Johnny on the spots, and that's what all of my employees are. I take pride in that they love the job that they're doing.
It's you and I as business owners, it's so important for us to have these key players on our side, on our teams, who we can trust blindly, and we know they're going to do the best job and they'll be on our side and will take care of us. So I'm so happy you have these two phenomenal men on your side helping you out and making your businesses
Me too.
flourish. When you say you lead the way I do, what leadership traits do you prioritize for your employees, and how do you model them day to day during the daily operations?
Um, I just want my employees to push as hard as they can, do things right the first time, do it safe. Safety is more important than the amount of money we make or our paychecks. We've got to come home safely to our family, and that's our biggest goal. But I want them to do it right the first time so that we don't have to go back and do it again, because that shows that we've got our stuff together and we know what we're doing. But I'm also the type of person too that no matter the situation, family comes first. So I want my employees to know that if there's a family situation, they can go take care of that. Work can wait. We'll figure it out. We'll get somebody else out there. Family is always first over anything. Then comes safety, right? They need to be safe out in the field, driving to location, being on location, driving home, whatever it is. I want to see their faces at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm,
we often spend more time with our work families than we do our own families. And so we really take care of each other and watch out for each other. And I really love that all of my businesses have that core value.
mm-hmm. And I absolutely love this mindset of yours and your philosophy and your leadership style, where you take care of your people first, because nothing comes before your employees and your team, because they're are your people, your family. In your roles at ESS and Cargill Energy, how do you balance regulatory compliance with practical operational decisions that empower your team? And by the way, what does ESS stand for?
ESS stands for Energy Staffing Services. It was originally started several years ago as a consulting firm, more for drilling consultants, consultants. Then they got into the dirt work and environmental regulatory compliance whenever Mike Denny hired me. Um, Cart Hill Energy, we started up 3 years ago with the public SWD, where other oil companies could bring their produced water and we would re-inject it into the well bores.
Mm,
And it's a way to get rid of that extra fluid that they produce, because oil is what matters, not the produced water
mm,
side. So we go back in and fill in those zones with produced water. Um, Once we did that, then we decided, Mike and I, that we were going to venture off and buy oil and gas wells. And so we did. We have 79. We bought some from Mac Energy. We bought some from BXP. Some are new, some are old, but they both go hand in hand. So, as an oil and gas producer, right, our job is to get the oil out of the ground, because the
mm,
world would not make it without oil. You couldn't talk on that microphone. We couldn't be on this computer. You couldn't have drove to work today if we didn't have oil.
mhm,
So once we get out of the ground, and there's times that we're gonna spill it, a line's gonna bust, a valve's gonna not work properly, or it could be human error that causes a leak to occur. So that's where ESS comes in. We come in and we clean it up. We get them into compliance. We're protecting the environment. Then you also have air. You hear often about how the oil and gas industry is polluting the air. Well, there's ways
mm,
that we can keep from doing that. Monitoring systems, testing, cameras, x-rays, things like that, that will tell us what pieces of equipment at our facilities is venting. And
mm,
so it's important that we don't. So we always have to be on the lookout for that.
mm,
Um, One of the other things that kind of coincides between ES and Carthill is me being the role between being the managing partner for the oil and gas side, and then being a managing partner for the environmental regulatory company. Um, I have to keep up on my regulations on both sides, and they're different, but they play together as the same. Um, the oil and gas side has a lot more regulations than a consulting firm does. The regulations that we have on a consulting firm is only to the services that we provide.
mm,
But on the oil and gas side, we have to cover everything. So it's a little different, and it's a balancing game, but they work together. The biggest thing about, the practical operation decision making that you said, I have to look at it. I've been a company man, I've been a consultant. Now I'm an owner of both. So I know that saving money, doing it right as an operator, an oil and gas operator, is where we need to be, stay in compliance and keep all the regulators happy with what we're doing, and of course make oil. That's how we make our money. But on the ESS side of things, I have to make sure the client, no matter whom it is, whether it's Carthill or another client that we work for, that they're in compliance too. They rely on us to keep them into compliance so they can continue drilling and continue operating. So it's very important that both roles kind of play together.
Wow, it's impressive, and we'll have to record another episode just about the oil wells because do not know anything about that industry. So it's very super interesting. I'm learning a lot with you right
You
now.
come down here, I'll take you out to one of our locations and I'll teach you.
I can't wait. I'm definitely coming. That's a promise. Okay.
I'll even get you a pink hard hat.
Oh, I can't wait for real. We'll make it happen soon. Juggling work and family time is recurring theme for many leaders. What routines or boundaries have you found most effective for sustaining growth across all of your ventures?
Well, you probably wouldn't want to ask my children that. I'm a workaholic. My dad was, I am. No matter what it is, if there's something to be done, I'm doing it. If I know that I have something coming up, I need to get done, an 8,000 page closure report for a spill that one of my clients had, I'm down here on Saturday, Sunday doing it. If I need to get stock for the coffee shop, I'm doing that too. I just can't, I'm just one of those that can't sit still. But if my grandchildren are involved, the whole world stops. And my kids are like, well, what happened to us? Well, grandkids trump. So it is hard to keep that family balance. It wasn't always easy. I did have people in my life that would help me pick them up, take them to school, take them to, school events or whatever. But I did everything I could try not to miss that. I worked for some really great companies that allowed me to take my kids to the daycare in my work vehicle, and be at those events, the softball games, the cheerleading, whatever it was. I was allowed to do that. So now both of my girls have their own families and their own routines. They both work at the coffee shop and they have their own careers. So they battle two jobs.
Wow.
A piece. Plus being a mom, my oldest has the 4-year-old grandson, Waylon Knox, and he's the best man on earth. No one can ever beat him. And then we have little Sage, who is 8 months old now, and she's absolutely a doll, fixing to crawl and be all over the world. But we get together when we can because they have their own families, they have their own lives. But when we do, it's a good time, and it's usually around the dinner table or playing games or just watching TV or picking on each other. I have a great son-in-law. He's worked for me also before in the past, and he has now grown and working for a major oil company now too, doing his own thing. So I love that. And the upcoming, I want to say son-in-law, but I'm not gonna
not just yet.
Yeah, he's a football coach, so we're kind of all over the place there. But sometimes I just have to set a goal of I'm only going to work 5 days this week, so that we can have dinner, or we can go out of town, or we can do whatever. But most of the time, I'm working 7 days a week. I try not to do it as much as I used to because I am getting older and do need that peace of mind and a little bit of rest. But my goal in trying to sustain all of that across all of my ventures is I have to pick, today I'm doing this for this time, I'm doing this for this time, and then I'm going home.
Natalie, how do you navigate potential conflicts between regulatory requirements and business growth when partnering on cross-functional projects?
A lot of times with different site issues, we may have to bring in a different service than we normally have. We may have to contract it out, or we just bring in the service into our list of services, new equipment, whatever it is. But we have to be ready to jump on something all the time so that we can make the projects work functionally. Um, all of them are different, but we also can take, hey, we did this on this location, we can do it on this location. So we kind of cross-reference ideas and past experiences to get things accomplished in, more efficient fashion.
And what upcoming projects or initiatives are you most excited about, and how listeners and viewers of this podcast can support your mission across your three companies, ESS, Carthill Energy, and Coalbrew?
So I'm going to go into a little bit, some of it's a secret because I don't want to let it out of the bag yet. But one thing that I'm really excited about is I had a client by the name of Christian Combs who worked for Taprock Resources, worked for him for several years, took care of all of his environmental projects. He is now joining my team. He lives in Colorado. He has a great mindset on regulatory safety, air permitting, regulations, the whole nine yards. He's very talented in what he does. We have always been able to feed off of each other when problems arose, no matter what it was, even after he went on to different ventures. And so, I could call him, he could call me. So he's joining my team. He's going to be another partner in crime for me. And I'm super excited for that because he's going to make a lot of changes for us in our services and kind of how we do things. Then the other side is we're going to be doing some exciting stuff with ESS. I don't want to let it out because then all my competitors will know what I'm up to. But we're going to try to get some things rolling by the end of the year so that we can announce what we're going to do next. Carthill Energy, of course, our goal is to make more oil so that we can buy more wells. Um, Kind of the whole playground behind Carthill Energy is so that Mike Denny's family and my family, it was more of a retirement type purchasing acquisition type thing. But we've ended up working our butts off and we're going to make it better than what it was when we first bought it. And then as far as cold brew, since our little trip in New Orleans last week with Will by Betty, I've
Mhm.
had several women that have contacted me that would like for me to franchise cold brew across different states to
Wow.
them. And then also came home and had one of my regulars say, hey, I'm moving to this town and I would like to see if there's a way that we can collaborate and I can franchise off you. So I know that in that week's time up there in New Orleans, there's a lot of women up there that can help me, attorneys that can help me with the franchisee part and rebranding and marketing and those kind of things. So that is on the books. I don't know how quickly that's going to happen, but there is a lot of talk about that right now. So I really feel like that moment down there in New Orleans brought me a whole lot of ideas and a lot of different ways to handle business. And meeting you and all the other wonderful women, it was an honor. So you guys kind of gave me a new boost in life. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And I know that everything will turn out to the best, and you're already making such a huge impact for your local community and nationwide. And I wish you all the best with all those ventures
Thank
growing,
you.
to the right direction. If someone is looking for your expertise, Natalie, in executive leadership, entrepreneurship, mentorship, or has a question, how can they combine all of these responsibilities with life or with family life? How can they find you? Do you have social media, websites, email address, cell phone number?
They can find me on LinkedIn under Natalie Gladden. I have my own Facebook, Natalie Gladden. I have Coalbrew Facebook. I have Instagram. I have TikTok. But they can also reach out to me by phone. My business office is 575-393-9048. They can get my email address off of LinkedIn. And our websites for ESS and Carthill we had some glitches, so we should be back up here hopefully next week. And they can also locate me through that. If you can even just Google my name and you'll get my contact information.
Oh, great. Natalie, thank you again for taking your time to talk to me today about legacy, balance, evolving rules, collaboration, and upcoming initiatives at the companies that you are involved with. But before we conclude today's episode, I have fun pop question, which I ask every of my guests. Are you ready for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. do you still have that one dream that one day you may achieve? What is that dream?
Well, it's funny you say that. After doing some recent traveling, the rest of the world is so different from here. So I would like to, at some point, at retirement stage, live somewhere else than Hobbs, New Mexico. Um, but I think the biggest thing for me is that my family is taken care of when I'm gone. That's my main goal. That's my main dream that I want to achieve, and I work towards it every single day. I just want them to flourish and live a life full of happiness and love and faith and just be all that they can be. And if I can teach them to do that, then that dream has come true. And I'll see that when I'm somewhere else.
That's such a beautiful wish, and I know it will come true. Thank you so much for sharing that dream. That was again Natalie Gladden, Director of Environmental and Regulatory Energy Staffing and Services, CEO of Carhill Energy, owner of Coalbrew Coffee Company. We covered blending of energy leadership with Coalbrew community focus. Priority, safety, and stewardship, shaped by motherhood and grandmother roles. We learned how Natalie empowers bold ideas within regulated context. Again, we covered today balance, legacy, evolving rules, collaboration, and upcoming initiatives across ESS, Carhill Energy, and Coalbrew. I want to thank you all for watching and listening to our episode today. For more tips and tricks on legal, funding, and personal injury law-related topics, follow me, like, and subscribe to It's Time for More Injury Funding podcast on YouTube and all podcast platforms worldwide, and follow More Injury Funding on moreinjuryfunding.com. I can't wait to see you, my dear viewers and listeners, at my next upcoming episode soon. Until then, be well. Thank you.